have to say?
Some weird comment.
Silo. Preservation. I think Silo is gradually revealing that every major character and some elements represent a different way humanity attempts to preserve or loses its past. Every conflict in the series isn't just about survival. It's about deciding what deserves to survive. Not only people, ideas, truth, memory, hope, identity. Civilizations don't survive because people stay alive. They survive because something is successfully carried forward. The question is, where is the safest place to store civilization? George Wilkins. He preserves through discovery. George preserves civilization by asking questions. He uncovers the forgotten tunnels, finds relics, collects hidden evidence, connects scattered pieces of history. He doesn't preserve answers, he preserves curiosity. Without George, Juliette never begins her journey. Juliette is preservation through action. George discovers, Juliette acts. Knowledge alone changes nothing. Someone has to risk everything to make it matter. Juliette is living proof, right? She preserves through courage. Lukas Kyle is preservation through knowledge. He preserves intellectually. He studies and decodes and observes and carries knowledge that previous generations tried desperately to pass forward. Unlike George, he inherits knowledge. Bernard is preservation through control. Bernard genuinely believes civilization only survives through order. To him, truth is dangerous. Chaos destroys societies. Control preserves them. He's preserving humanity at the cost of freedom. Judge Meadows, she is preservation through burden. Meadows represents another tragedy. Sometimes knowledge doesn't empower, it crushes. So she has the truth inside herself preserved, but carrying it isolated her from everyone else. She became a vault human archive, surrounded herself with relics, but it was too much to bear alone. Helen Drew is a preservation through journalism. She's asking questions, not just recording events, but creating accountability, challenging narratives. She asks who benefits from the story that's being told. So if George preserves history by digging, Helen preserves history by documenting. Daniel Keane, he could be a preservation through building. Daniel represents infrastructure, ideas, require foundations, shelter, machines, engineering. Whether or not he ultimately becomes a founder and helps to build the silo or they just use his technology, he symbolizes people who preserve civilization by physically constructing it. Civilization can't survive without builders. Anna Thurman, she's preservation through narrative. She doesn't merely preserve society, she curates it. She decides what stories people hear, what memories remain, which disappear. She believes controlling the narrative is necessary to protect civilization. So history has become something edited, not remembered. And Congresswoman Thurman is preservation through power. Political systems preserve civilizations or corrupt them. She represents preserving institutions. The problem is that institutions often begin serving themselves instead of the people they were built to protect. Charlotte is a preservation through resistance. Charlotte refuses to accept easy answers. For some reason, they kept her in the dark. And maybe she's one of the initial patients in the experiment that are given the full wipe. Every healthy civilization needs those people willing to doubt official stories, and maybe she found the biggest story of what eventually, I would assume, is the catalyst for the apocalypse. Dr. Victor, he's preservation through medicine. Victor believes memories themselves can be managed. and removed or restored and edited. His version of preservation isn't about saving history, it's about preserving people by reshaping their memories. That raises one of the show's biggest ethical questions, which is, if you preserve a person's body but alter their memories, have you preserved the person or created someone new? Or do they always underlie underneath that in some sort of soul, as the doctor referenced? Camille is preservation through administration. Camille isn't driven by ideology, she's driven by the procedure. She represents bureaucracy, the day-to-day maintenance of society, civilization. She's about rules, creates schedules, follows the algorithm. It's compliance. Systems serve because someone keeps them running. Robert Sims, that's a preservation through enforcement, through order and fear. He doesn't create the rules, he enforces them. Every civilization eventually asks how much force is acceptable to maintain stability. He embodies this uncomfortable question. Martha Walker is preservation through craft. Walker repairs and builds things, restores, repairs. So she preserves through practical knowledge, the knowledge of the hands, skills that are passed from a mentor to an apprentice, long before books. This is how people learned and survived. Jimmy Solo, he's preservation through memory. He might be the prime example. He remembers, that's his role. He preserves stories, names, circus, people, loneliness itself. He is the living archive, living relic. Harwood is preservation through observation. Harwood demonstrates that ordinary people can discover extraordinary truths. Using nothing more than his mining experience, he estimates the age of the silo. He preserves reality through practical reasoning, so the truth doesn't just belong to the elites, or at least portions of it. And then some of the elements or objects that embody preservation. Legacy is preservation through selection. This may be the most important one. It doesn't preserve just information. It decides who receives it, when they receive it, whether they receive it, whether they deserve it. It isn't simply an archive. It's a curator. That's a big distinction. Libraries preserve everything. The legacy appears to preserve only what it believes should survive. So it's simultaneously the silo and civilization's greatest protector, but also greatest censor. The tunnels, this is preservation through connection. The tunnels don't merely connect locations, they connect generations, ideas, people, truth, history. They're physical reminders that civilizations survive through connection. Isolation breeds ignorance, connection spreads knowledge. The memory drugs are preservation through stability. This is kind of one of the darker aspects, but they preserve through peace, order, predictability, compliance. They don't preserve truth, they preserve stability. The tragedy is that stability achieved through forgetting eventually becomes fragile. A civilization that forgets why it exists may eventually lose the reason to survive at all. And the relics preserve through emotion. The Pez dispenser, the stuffed animal, George's watch, the sheriff's badge. These aren't valuable because of what they are, they're valuable because of what they mean. Objects become vessels for emotion, emotion becomes memory, memory becomes identity. A relic isn't dangerous because it's old, it's dangerous because it reminds someone of who they really are. So every character represents a different answer. How do you preserve a civilization, or where is the best place? Well, George says ask questions. Bernard, maintain order. Walker, pass down skills. Helen, record the truth. Victor, edit memory. Solo, remember everything. Legacy, choose what survives. So is it in books, computers, institutions, and laws, artifacts, algorithms, or in people? The tragedy may be that every method eventually fails. Books burn, hard drives are hidden or destroyed, records are censored, institutions become corrupt, algorithms become rigid, objects lose their stories, memories fade, people die, and even civilizations collapse. So maybe Silo isn't asking who built the silos, it's asking, can humanity ever truly preserve itself at all? Or whether every generation is destined to rebuild civilization from fragments left by the last. That transforms Silo from, a show about survival and underground bunkers to a meditation on civilization itself. And so maybe the greatest relic isn't really the Pez or legacy, it's the human capacity to remember, question, teach, and pass something meaningful to the next generation.